Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on my 1967 F-250 crew cab with the 7.3 Godzilla Ford engine. On the last episode on this truck, we got the engine and everything all sorted out. I had some stuff to show you guys there, as well as we're going to get the cab, some stuff fixed on the cab, and get it stripped down and get it ready for media blasting and prime. So let's go get after it. Hey guys, on today's episode, like I said, we're back working on my 1967 crew cab project. On the last time we were working on this truck, I got the engine mounts kind of sorted out and where I wanted it, in the engine position where I wanted it. But when we left off, we didn't have the transmission mount done and didn't have the engine mounts fully welded up. Well, now we're catching back up. I have the engine mounts fully welded up and I have a transmission cross member. We're going to show that later. But the engine mounts are welded up. I don't have the holes drilled for the cross member, the extra holes. I have two in the bottom on each side. Once I get the engine out of there, then I'll drill those and get that bolted down. But, you know, that's kind of once the engine's out. I didn't pull the engine whenever I welded up those plates. But those are all welded up. So the engine is fully held up by the engine mounts. I don't have the block of wood under the oil pan anymore. So the engine is where it's going to sit officially. And I also have the cross member all welded up here. This is a aftermarket stock piece by Transdapt, and it's their 6-inch universal drop cross member. It worked really good in this situation. The reason I went with the big 6-inch drop one was because I'm using the factory 6R140 transmission mount there, and it is a very thick unit. There's a lot of height there. So I got the 6-inch drop to get it down to where I need it to be, and also pick the cross member up and have it to where it bolts on the inside of the frame there, nice and easy. I did have these pads turn 90 degrees, but unfortunately one of the holes went with this hole in the cross or the frame here on both sides, and instead of welding that hole up and grinding it all down and then re-drilling a hole, I just went up and down with them. It's going to be a little bit harder to get out. But I did verify that the cross member will come out. So it'll come out if you ever have to service anything, but it still gets the job done. Another good thing about this 6-inch drop cross member is drive shaft clearance. We're going to have a divorce transfer case, and it's going to live about right here. So that drive shaft's going to go right along here. See the front end there? And it's going to go right through here. So it gives us clearance for our drive shaft, so that's good. If it was just a straight across unit, it's going to go right where that drive shaft was going to need to be. So things like this, whenever you're building a project like that, you always have to keep in the back of your mind of what you're doing and how it's going to affect everything else down the road. So if I wasn't thinking about that and I just put a straight piece of metal on the bottom there and bolted it in place, and then once I started to put drive shafts in, I thought, oh no, this is going to go right through that cross member I made, then I have to cut it out and redo it. So all that kind of stuff is kind of a pain to deal with, but it makes it easier in the long run if you kind of slow down and try to make sure everything's going to be happy with everything. Same thing with the engine location. I was concerned with exhaust placement and all of that, not just engine placement and firewall clearance. You know, you got to think about everything that has to go in with this engine. So, with all that being said, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to use this factory cross member. It was up here. It just kind of, I just have it loose because it was in the way. If in the factory location, it's going to hit the transmission, so it's not going to fit. There might be room if I move it up here, but then we get in the way of our exhaust and just all kinds of other stuff. So I'm not sure if I'm going to use that. It is going to help strengthen the frame here, but mounting it right here, we're so close to this big beefy engine cross member, it's not going to be doing anything anyway. And that transmission cross member did add a little bit of strength there to the frame, so we'll see. I haven't decided on that yet. So basically, I have the engine placement where I wanted to be, so the cab no longer has to be with the frame. So that was the big deal. I wanted to get the engine placement done so I can do all the fabrication and getting stuff like the steering box and the transfer case, all that all mounted up without having to worry about the cab, because the cab is going to go to media blast, so it's going to be gone, so I can work on other stuff while it's gone. If I didn't have the engine in place, I wouldn't know exactly where the engine's going to be, so you know you can't really build on top of that and start adding other stuff without knowing the exact placement of the engine. So because that steering box is going to go right here, so if I didn't know exactly where the engine was going to be, I would be afraid that if I did all the work to mount it, it would be in the way. But now, since I know this is where the engine is going to be, it's going to live right there. I'm going to fab everything in place. So that's how all that works in my head. But since I'm planning on taking this cab to get media blasted, I thought I would share with you guys kind of what I do and what I look for before I take it to media blasting. And it might help you guys in the future if you guys are doing a project similar to this where you're taking it to somebody to get media blasted. Now, this is going to be the fourth, I think it's, yeah, the fourth cab I've taken to get media blasted. And in the past when I've done it, I've had guys always comment that don't do this, it'll ruin your project, it'll ruin your metal, or warp it, you'll never get it straight again. And there's always comments like that, and I think it's always boils down to who you're using. If you're using somebody that's not as well-versed in doing body parts, especially delicate body parts like these crew cabs, like the roof on these things, you're going to have a poor outcome. So the guy I use is really professional. He's really good at being delicate with his stuff and knows what he's doing. So I guess it boils down to trust with whoever you're using. But if you find a good guy and he knows what he's doing, they do a really good job, and you have a perfect foundation to start your project off of if you're doing body work and paint. So whenever I don't know what product he uses. People always ask me that too. They call it sugar sand, but I tried to Google that and it didn't really come up with anything. So I don't know exactly what it is. I know it's a really smooth media. It's not real sharp and abrasive. And he has told me in the past that when he does it, when he's doing a cab like this, like you can take your glove off and put your hand in front of the nozzle. He says it'll sting, but it's not going to hurt you. It's not going to like take your skin off or anything. It's really mild abrasive. You know, it's not real harsh, basically. So he's really easy on it. So I guess use that information with you will. The things I would do under the cab here before I take it to media blasting is like all this grease where the transmission was. I'm going to take this out and steam clean. We have a really good steam cleaner, you know, like a hot water. It's a pressure washer with a hot water heater, and it takes this stuff off really nice and easy. I haven't done it because it was mounted on the frame and it's hard to get to, but now that it's off of the frame, I'm going to fork underneath it and pick it up and take it outside and do that, because they would have to clean it off if I didn't do that. So it's better for me to do it and not have to pay them hourly to do it. So I'm going to clean all this off, and I also want to fill up all of the holes. This cab, for some reason or another, has holes everywhere underneath it. All of these holes here, I'm going to fill up, and they're just everywhere on this thing. I don't know what they were doing to need all of these holes all over this cab. I mean, look at all those holes there. And just even back here, there's holes here. So I don't know if they were mounting stuff in the cab or why there's so many holes in this thing, or maybe it was collecting water and they're drilling holes in the floor to drain all the water. I don't know, but I'm going to weld them all up, because in the past I haven't done stuff like this. And then once you get it back from media blasting, you're going to be grinding the primer off that you paid them to spray on there, and then I'm going to be welding it up, and I have to prime it back again. So you're doing things kind of twice. So I'm going to learn from my mistakes and do this before I take it. So once they blast it and prime over it, it's ready to go. I don't have to grind their primer back off. And yeah, another thing I always or in the past I haven't done, and I'm going to do this time for sure, is all the stuff like the seam sealer and stuff like that. Since he uses such a light abrasive on the media blaster, he can't get the seam sealer and stuff out of these trucks. So like this bed seam here, in the past I would have just left that, or in the past I have left that. And when you get it back, there's still seam sealer in there. So you're taking, I'm taking the primer off, and then once you get the seam sealer out, then you're left with some bare metal and rust in a lot of cases underneath that old seam sealer. So then you got to deal with that and then reprime it before you seam seal it. And if I did that before I took it up there, it would already be primed and ready to go. It would have been blasted out to bare metal and primed and perfect. So things like that I haven't done in the past, but I'm definitely going to do it here. All the steam seal, like on the drip rail on top of the cab, all in the door jams, all of that seam sealer that's like all of this here, and there's seam seal all along this right here, all the way up. So I'm going to dig all of that out, so when they blast it and prime it, they're not blasting or priming over seam sealer that I would prefer to be gone. So all that kind of stuff I'm going to take care of before I take it up there, and yeah, we'll get it knocked out. So let's go do it. I think I have most of the little holes. Nope, I don't. I missed that one. And oh, that's probably because I didn't grind the paint off, so I didn't weld those up yet. Every time I looked, I kept finding more and more holes that I had to fill, and like I was scraping off this grease here, and there's just more holes underneath it. So there's just holes all over this thing. I have no idea if they screwed carpet down with self tappers or what they did, but it's just all over. I have all the little ones kind of filled in. There's a lot of the bigger ones, like all of this. I'm gonna have to make a patch piece. I'll probably just cut all this out, honestly, and just put a flat piece of metal in there. And this spot over here, the same thing. I'll just cut all that out and probably just replace the metal, because it's just not worth it trying to beat that in, fill holes, and make little patches for each little hole. These right here, I'll probably cut them out so they're bigger, because the hole's all messed up and not flat. I'll probably get my unibit out and make that bigger, and I have discs to weld back in that are the same size as the unibit, so that works pretty good for those. And I'll have to make a piece to fix this torched out section right here. I'm not sure what was going on there, but we'll get it patched up. So next step will be fix all those little holes, and then I got to grind all these smooth, and then go back on the inside and grind that as well if there's anything left over on there. And if on the time lapse when I was welding, if you saw me climb up in here, something was smoking that I thought shouldn't be smoking, and the steering wheel was over one of the holes over there, and it started smoking a little bit. It's made of wood, I guess, or it's fake wood, or I don't know what it is. So just a reminder to always remember what's on the other side of what you're welding, so check that out as well. But luckily I saw that before it became too big of a problem. But yeah, moving right along. So even though this truck is like 99% rust free, it is not hole free. So, but I'll deal with holes all day long over rust. And we do still have this little spot right here. I'm going to cut out and patch that as well. So I guess we're going to be doing a lot of cutting and patching next. I'll probably drop it down and make sure we're good on the inside as well. Make sure I'm not missing any holes, and move on from that, I guess. Well guys, I'm a lot further along on the 67 crew cab here, and dealing with all of these holes on this thing. I actually counted them, and there is 67 that I counted, but then I realized I missed some up here in the firewall. So what is that? 3 more, so we're up to what are we, 70 now? Nope, 71. There's another one. Is that a hole there? 72. Ugh. I have I think 30 some of them patched and ground down, just the small ones. There's a few there that I missed that I cleaned the paint off, and right here that I missed that I cleaned the paint off. But majority of them are ground down and they look pretty good, so I am making progress at least. I have this piece cut out and a patch cut out to go there, but of course I ran out of welding gas whenever I started to weld this thing, so I have to find time to go to town and get a new bottle of welding gas for the welder. But we had a little bit of an ice storm, if you can tell there, but the roads were just solid ice, so I just didn't go to town today. I'll probably go tomorrow sometime and get a new bottle, and I'll weld that in. But in the meantime, I got patches cut out for the areas with larger holes. We had a bunch of holes here for a fuel tank selector. I just have that cut out with a patch piece there made to go back in that I'll weld in. And then right here where we had the rust, I have that cut out and then a patch to go there. So here's the piece that I cut out to just get rid of all those holes. And then here's the rust that I cut out. So just a little spot of rust, probably had some water under the floor mat. And yeah, all the little holes, or the bigger, littler hole like these, I'm going to drill out with a unibit, like I said, and I have to cut out a patch here to do that. So it's the end of the day today, so I'm calling it quits today. I got to get gas for the welder, and then we'll continue on. I guess what back here I can show you, I was poking around a bit back here. There is a bunch of filler here, and I was trying to grind through it to see if there's rust. I haven't got through all of it yet. I don't think there is, but there might be dents, and that's why they put filler here. But there could be rust hiding under this, but I'm just not sure why they put filler here. They did like to crack right here. If you can see here, they kind of booger welded it up when I started cleaning it up. I'll have to weld all that up. but that's might be why they slathered it on this Bondo here to fill in those cracks where it likes to crack right there. And it also started to crack out all of the pinch weld along here. So I'm going to clean all this up and see if I can clamp that together and then weld it back up so this pinch weld is back together, because I already started to do it there. It's kind of, I'm not sure why it's wanting to break apart right here. It might be because all the weight of the crew cab is right here, and just putting extra stress on this this right here holding the truck up. I don't know. We'll get that fixed up. I just got to get all this paint off of here, and yeah, a lot more holes to fill, so I'm going to get after it once I get some welding gas, and we'll catch you guys up. All right, well, I got some new gas from our welder. Been busy welding up all these patches I had here. We have the gas tank selector hole filled. That little rust spot, I have that patched up. Our spot here where someone took a torch to the crossmember, whatever they were doing. I've also started doing some of the bigger holes. So there's one, there's two, there's another one, and then there's one here. I have one yet to do. Where is it at? Right here. I have this one, so I thought I'd bring you guys along and just show you what I'm doing. These are like, I don't know, 7/16, 3/8 holes, and I'm drilling them out with a big unibit like this. We went to 1 inch on these. I've been doing a little bit a bigger hole than I need to on these because the hole was all deformed and like sucked in, and the metal wasn't going to be flat. So I'm doing a big 1 inch hole just to get rid of all that bent up metal. And then I have a little slug. You can see that. A little slug on a magnet. And I'll stick it up in there like that. You can see that. And then I just weld around it. And then basically we have our plug. So that's really handy for these bigger holes like this one here I've yet to do. They're just a little bit harder. You know, you could weld that up, especially if you had a backer on it. But just welding in a plate like that makes it easier, especially when the metal is kind of all bent up. But right here, I'll have to just cut that out just because we've got so many holes in this small area, and it's all bent up and not smooth anymore. So I'm just going to cut all of this out and weld in a patch panel. I'll do that on the inside since I have limited space down here. Just trying to get everything done down here that I can. Well, it's easy. But we'll go ahead and weld this patch in so you guys can see how it's going for me. And that's it. Didn't take too much. So that's all welded up. Now I just have to grind all of these smooth, and we'll be good to go. All right, well, I have everything that I'm going to do from the underside all done and ground smooth for the most part. Here's that one we just did here. It's all ground smooth. Tried to grind everything smooth. It's not perfect, but I think it'll be good enough for the to take it to sandblaster. So I'm not doing this, like I said earlier. Well, we have all of our epoxy. The next hole, all the other holes I'm going to be doing, I'll do inside the cab where I have more room. But I want to get this thing stripped down and on our pallet so I can transport it easier with a forklift. So I need to strip down all of the front end components and then strip out the rest of the cab and get it mounted on my transport pallet. And then I'm gonna blast the underside, or steam clean the underside, and try to get all the oil and stuff off of the back or the bottom. And I got to patch up those holes on the inside, and there's a few spots I still have to do yet. There's some speaker holes on the inside we got to do, and there's a little bitty rust spot up here in the corner of the cab I'm gonna take care of before we take it up there. So I have some things to do yet, but for now I'm gonna start stripping down this front end and see if we can get it off the lift. Well, as you just saw, I got the front end off of the truck, and I'm starting to strip down the firewall and getting all this sorted out. There's a few things I have to do on the firewall while I'm by the welder. There's a bunch of holes. Here's some holes here, and then here's some holes here, and there's a screw I got to take out, and then that will leave another hole. So I am still patching holes on this thing. I wanted to do the firewall while it's on the lift here before I take it off the lift. While it's easy and handy to get to, but I have all the bits and pieces off of the firewall. There's lots of bracketry and your like little squirters for your window washer, and I got my brackets here taken off, all that kind of stuff, and my wiring harnesses are getting ready to be taken out. I'm probably going to strip the interior once I get it off the lift. There's just a few pieces in here I haven't done yet, like wipers, dash harness, pedal assembly, all that stuff. Not too much, but I do still have quite a bit of metal fab to do before I want to take it to the blaster, more than I was remembering. You know, it's always worse than you remember. We have these big speaker holes here I have to get rid of on both sides. It'll be pretty easy because it's just a big flat piece of metal, but it does take time to try to do it nice and neatly. The big thing that I forgot about was on the rear doors. You know, on the video, whenever I was stripping these things down, I showed you they had this big cut in the bottom of it. I do want to get that welded up and taken care of before it gets blasted and primed. So I'm going to be working on that as well. It's going to be a little bit trickier because it's here on this lip. I haven't decided if I'm going to cut along here and weld in a new piece, or I'm going to clean it up here and weld along that seam there. I haven't decided yet. I guess I'll probably yank the doors off and do those off of the cab, because it'll be a lot of work to try to do it on the cab anyway. And right here you can see earlier in the episode I was talking about all the body fill that's right here. Now you can see why they did that, I think. Here's that crack I was talking about. I didn't notice that before when I was telling you about it. But they did weld it up a little bit, but then they just smothered body fill on it and it oozed through all the holes they didn't get. So I have to clean all of that up and weld all of that up proper and get that taken care of. But the good news about that is I don't think there's any rust in the cab corner. I think it was all just to smooth up their job right there they did, their repair job. And same over here, I have to do it up here. They use less body fill on this side. So with all that being said, there's quite a bit left to do on the cab. I think I'm going to cut this in two. I wanted to get this cab ready to go to Blasters and end this video with me dropping it off, but it looks like it's going to be a week or two before I get that done, so I'm going to cut it in two. But before we go, I wanted to chat about the future of this truck and mainly the color. I've been back and forth on the color I want to do on this truck. Now, originally, it was a special order truck. It is a government order, a government DSO, so it's an 83 DSO, Washington, D.C. ordering district. And it was originally, you know, federal government fleet order, basically. And the color, the original color, you can see some of it here, was this gray color. Now, I haven't seen government trucks that are that color. Of course, you don't really, it's hard to search that or look for historical photos of government trucks. The only crew cabs I know of that I've actually seen pictures of that are 83 DSO are forestry service trucks. And I'm sure like the Air Force bought some, the Army Corps of Engineers probably bought some, and the Navy probably bought some. You know, those are kind of things that are coming to my head that could be this gray color, you know, something DOD related, or maybe, you know, I was kind of thinking Army Corps of Engineers, but they're kind of more white, but I don't really know what color of vehicles they would have had. But there's probably other government agencies that probably ordered these things, and who knows what it could be. So basically what it's all boiling down to is I'm kind of thinking about doing a forestry service truck on this one. Now, originally, way back in the channel, we were doing a 69 Highboy that I got out of Colorado that I thought what maybe was a forestry service truck. But after I did a lot more digging, I don't think it's possible that truck would have been a forestry service truck without an 83 government DSO. So I kind of thought maybe it was a special order that they put in through the local dealer, but I think it would have to have been a federal order. And all those federal trucks, they went through a actual Ford dealer. The Ford dealer that is listed as being the selling dealer is actually in Washington, D.C. So that kind of, it was kind of the right color, but kind of the wrong color on that truck. So I think I'm scrapping the forestry service idea on that regular cab, and I'm thinking about picking it back up on this crew cab, since it is a government order truck, although I do not think it was a forestry service truck originally. So we'd be kind of doing a recreation or a tribute kind of a deal. Let me know what you guys think about that idea down in the comments below. Funny enough, the forestry service trucks would have had a gray roof like this. They would have actually cut it right here at the A-pillar and did gray up top and in the mint green down below, and that's the way they painted the forestry service trucks originally. So it is kind of funny that it was kind of painted to that scheme originally, and then when I bought this truck, I kind of thought it might have been a forestry service truck since it's an 83 truck, but you know, once I did the digging and found that gray color, I knew that it probably wasn't, because there's no hint of the forestry service green in this truck anywhere. So unfortunately, I can't prove anything one way or the other, so that's why I'm kind of leaning towards the forestry service truck. But we do have time to make up our mind on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what I want to do. I think it'll be a really cool build. I'll do something like a steel grill on it, you know, real base model looking truck, paint it white, and just have an old forestry service truck and letter it up with the stickers and the stuff they said on the side for official use only, you know, that kind of stuff. Put a forestry service emblem on the side, but do it in a sticker, so if the new owner of this truck doesn't like it, he can take it off. But you know, stuff like that I think would be really fun to recreate on this truck. So anyway, guys, That's my plans on it. But I also wanted to talk to you guys about these subscribers. Now, I know I hate doing this because there's channels out there that harp on this all the time and try to get you to subscribe and hit the button and all that kind of stuff. I always leave it to the end of the video. And we are at 8,600 right now, and I'd really love to get 10,000 subscribers. And I know only 24% of you guys are subscribers. So if you're not subscribed but you're enjoying my content, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing, and it's a good way to support the channel. So with that said, I think we're going to end this video right here, guys. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. This is going to be a fun truck. I can't wait to get started on the bodywork and really start honing my skills on this truck. Since I started on the Ultimate Crew Cab back there, I get to do it again on this one and kind of fix all the mistakes I did on that truck and get them right on this one. I can't wait for that, guys. Hit the subscribe button so you can see when that happens. Give me a thumbs up if you like this truck. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.